Tucked away in a valley south of Lingkot is Wahkhen, a very old village known for its preservation of the indigenous, religious and cultural tradition. The road offers a breathtaking view of the Lightlum Canyon in the east, and this is where the eastern War region of Meghalaya starts, and it continues well into the War Jantia areas up to the border with Assam. To go to Wahkhen, one has to drive past Lingkot, across the winding road on the mountain ridge, up to the Pomlom junction. We take the right turn from Pomlom and descend to Wahkhen village, passing along the way the fields of the vastly popular broomstick grass, which has a big market outside Meghalaya. The roads get a little bumpy here as we pass the villages of Dimmew and Masar and finally reach the Wahkhen station, where we get off the vehicle and get ready to explore the village and its various sights and sounds. Wahkhen station is a meeting place for most of the residents of the village. As we moved around, we could notice the children playing and the women carrying on with their daily chores. Spread over a large area, the village is perched on a hill and made up of two localities, the Upper and Lower Wahkhen. Surrounding the village are the bree or cultivated land that slope towards the west and south. Orange orchards, broomstick grass, bay leaf trees, betel nut and betel leaf, besides other horticultural crops are grown here. On the western side of Wahkhen, across the river below, lies the mountains of Khat Arshnong area. On the southern and southeastern border is Shuthim and Nongblai villages, and on the northeastern side, Wahkhen shares its border with Rangan village. The village is also well known for preserving the traditional music and dance of the Khasis. This is Wahkhen village. Wahkhen is also known for some incredible places. Join me as I take you to these places. Join me in the trek. A first stop is located some distance away and down below. We trek downhill, passing through the gardens of orange trees, papaya and jackfruit trees. Wahkhen is famous for its sweet Khasi mandarin oranges, which are in great demand in Shillong and other markets. A guide, a young boy, takes us through a rough trail that descended to the river below. As we descended the stone steps, we passed the bay leaf orchards. This section of the sloping land had mostly bay leaf trees. It was the season where the leaves were collected and dried and later stuffed inside sacks and carried uphill to the village station. Bay leaf is one of the major crops that has supported the livelihood of the villagers in Wahkhen. From the village station, the sacks of bay leaf are transported by traders to markets in and outside Meghalaya. Oh, this is what you call the bay leaf, and we're just passing through on a trek across a grove of bay leaf trees. And Wahkhen is also known as one of the most fertile spots in horticulture products in Khasi Hills. Bay leaf or tezpatta is widely used in the Indian style of cooking. This variety of bay leaf is more aromatic than its European counterpart. We walk past the broom grass fields, a major cash crop of Wahkhen village. However, broom grass affects the environment in the long run, as it consumes large amount of groundwater and leaves the soil dry and unfit to plant any other crops. But the farmers have no other option but to keep on cultivating this high-yielding crop because it is in high demand and fetches a good price in the market.
Along the trail we've come across this place where they have this wooden structure here, and what they do is they put the bay leaves in sacks and push it down, and this will be about 40 kilos and it's ready for the market.
Wahkhen is surrounded by steep mountains all around. A trail continues downhill while we tread on cautiously from stone to stone. As we walk downhill, the trail becomes steeper. We pass the broomstick grass and meet two men who are picking the bay leaves, drying them on wooden platforms and putting them on sacks, later to be carried to the village on top. It was a tough job from morning to dusk, but the men and women here were hard-working and matched up to the task. Their lives as cultivators starts at a young age, as they take to the fields with their parents, helping them clear the land for growing crops and carrying and bundling the bay leaf, broomstick grass and other crops to be sold outside the village. During the time of planting and harvesting, they stay for days in the fields, and it is in this manner that many of the villages in the region have their humble origin. The initial settlement of a single hut, started by an individual farmer, spreads to several hutments when the family and other relatives join in and gradually grow to a village in course of time. We reach the river after a 1-hour trek, and what awaits us is a surprise. It's a specimen of living architecture that is more than 100 years old. As I climb on a rock to get a clearer view, the root bridge makes its appearance amidst the lush and pristine surroundings, hanging from two ends of the ficus tree like a prehistoric creature.
This is an incredible place. This is wild country, and man has tamed this wild country. Behind me you see the root bridge. Where else in this world would you find a root bridge across crystal clear waters? It's so beautiful.
The root bridge, of which some are 200 to 300 years old, is a bio-engineered structure found in a few places of the Khasi and Jainti hills and are built using the roots of the Ficus elastica or the Indian rubber tree. These structures are also known as living root bridges because the roots that are woven across the river and designed into trusses and railings are living organisms that keep on growing and after many years tend to look like the trunks of the tree. During the monsoons in this mountainous region, the rivers become raging torrents and are impossible to walk across. These bridges serve as lifelines for the locals who who use the bridges to get across to the fields and to the outside world. The bridges have survived for many generations owing to the fact that they are maintained and strengthened regularly by the village community up to the present day. The river in this time of the year is clean and transparent, and we get down from the bridge into the crystal clear waters of the river pool to freshen ourselves after the long and tiring trek downhill. It's an amazing experience to swim in these unspoiled waters surrounded by the pristine environment. This is truly paradise on earth. Our nerves and muscles relax, we head back to Wahkhen village, all eager to meet up with the traditional drum makers. It's a 1.5 hour trek uphill, and it was not going to be easy. We climbed as fast as we could because there was another place to go to, and we wanted to complete our exploration before the sun sets. The challenge to reach the village in an hour's time is exhilarating, but it also takes away all our energy. The heat that is generated from the long, strenuous and difficult climb makes the body sweat profusely. We reached the village in good time and walked through to the other side to catch a glimpse of the traditional drum making in the village. The lifestyle here is a simple one, with the majority of the residents still using firewood for cooking. The other common activities besides cultivation include pig and chicken rearing. As we approached the artisan's courtyard, at the entrance there were long strips of hide being dried out in the sun. These strips would be later used to bind and tighten the cured leather skin which is stretched out over the hollow of the wooden barrels. It takes about a month to complete a drum, or bum as they call it in Khasi. Traditional drum making is an art form, and it is a traditional skill in Wahkhen that has been passed on from one generation to another. The drums are an indispensable element of the traditional music and are played in all cultural dances and festivals of the Khasis. They are also played on other social occasions as well. From here we move on across the village to another landmark that is about an hour's walk away. We have about 3 to 4 hours of light before it gets dark, and so we rush through the trail downhill to the river, where we had to cross a series of bamboo bridges. The craftsmanship involved in the making of the bamboo bridges is exceptional. It was not a single bridge, but 3 small bridges joining one another, constructed from one end of the river to the other. We walked across and found that the structure was sturdy and firm. The trek further on became more interesting as we were guided through a cliff face that appeared to be impossible to cross. The master craftsmen of Wahkhen were not deterred by the difficult terrain, but used their inherent engineering skills to overcome the stretch of inaccessible terrain and build a series of bamboo and wood walkways on the edge of the cliff all the way to the top. This was one of the most memorable experiences that I had in my travels across Meghalaya. The whole structure was an engineering marvel. This is native ingenuity at its best. Every step that we took was with extra caution, as there was a steep drop on our left side. After the adrenaline-packed trek up the series of bamboo walkways, steps, bridges and ladders, we edged closer to our destination. And suddenly, there was an opening on the trail that offered a view of the gigantic monolithic rock that rose up from below and dominated the surrounding landscape by its sheer beauty and size. This huge and jagged pinnacle of a rock is called Maurinkang. The view from here was majestic, but we did not waste time and we eagerly climbed down the steps and ladder on the way to reach the base of the rock, because the urge to climb to the top was the ultimate and only purpose at the moment. I finally got to the base of the ladder that rested on the rock and grabbed the side rails to move up this almost 90 degrees climb. By this time, as I moved up the rock, my breathing was heavy from the running and climbing, but I was oblivious to it because of the adrenaline rush which kept me going all the way to the top. The feeling when I reach the top of Maurinkang Rock is unmatched. Sitting on top, all thoughts and exhaustion from the long trek just disappears. I guess it's a sublime state of mind that takes over from being humbled by the awe-inspiring landscape.
Well, I'm standing right on top of Maurinkang Rock, and this is symbolic of the wild country that we have here in the Khasi Hills. And that was an awesome, mind-blowing trek. What a way to end a day in a village. I'll catch you again in another destination.